Hi everybody and welcome to another episode. I've had this thing hanging around for quite a while. It is a Technics M8 stereo cassette deck. It's alright, looks quite nice. Fairly basic I guess, but well, not too basic. It has metal selector, Dolby noise reduction, input select, so either line in or the microphone. And there's actually two sockets for the microphone because it's stereo. It has, I think, vacuum fluorescent display and input levels controllable for both channels, left and right. So it isn't actually too bad at all. Doesn't look too bad inside, looks fairly clean, just dusty to be honest with you. So I think what I'm going to do is to actually get it stripped down, take a look inside, make sure everything's okay, get rid of this, which is basically, this allows you to plug it into the back of certain decks, so you can actually run it off the supply of you can actually run it off the internal supply from certain amps. But what I want to do is just put a standard plug onto the back of it, making sure that we stay within the fuse rating. So I probably reckon this would need no more than a 3 amp fuse, 5 amp at the most. So I've never actually taken this apart before, I've never been inside of it. I bought it years ago and I've never used it, which is quite surprising really. I normally buy these things to use, but for some reason, or for whatever reasons, it just fell to the wayside. So I'm unscrewing what I think are the correct screws, and it would appear that I've got the correct screws. So there we are inside. Nothing in there that is of anything particularly off the wall or shocking. All looks pretty standard to be honest with you. We have what looks like the power regulator board here, and then we've got the main board here, including the Dolby noise reduction circuitry. We have the recorder amp around here. We've got the headphone amp, so I think that's the amp from the head. Preamplifier stage here. There's Dolby noise reduction around here. This actually looks like could be the IC there, I think, for Dolby noise reduction. It is possible that there is Dolby noise reduction for both channels. Actually, what's quite interesting is it does look like you've got Dolby noise reduction and Dolby noise reduction there, and they are marked. I don't think they are marked with what side they govern, but it looks like you've got two, one for each channel. Now what I want to do is I want to get in here and see if there are any issues with the actual tape transport itself. So it looks like I can pull these two knobs off. And there's no screws along the top there. Doesn't seem to be any other knobs in the way. I might be looking at this from the wrong perspective, to be honest with you. That's the base of it off. The cassette deck looks like it's hidden underneath here, but that isn't removable, which suggests to me that you've actually got to remove the front to get into there. What I am looking for is some kind of mains suppressor capacitor. So the last thing I want is for a reefer to pop off. So I'm going to see if I can get this board out and have a look. So I'm going to take this out of the way. Just move these out of the way. These just hold It does a double job of holding the board in place, but also just locating the cables as well. Yeah, you can see there's one, and there is another. So that's our 2 phono cables, which are actually sort of hard soldered into the deck itself. So we've got those out of the way. So you've got line out and line in. And how can we remove this board? I reckon we've got this one here. That also has this on it as well. And we've got this one here, which is holding things in place. And I think that is it actually. Problem is, I'm not sure how it's held in further down. So it actually tells you screw, screw, and doesn't seem to mention any other screws on that, so and I don't think you need to worry about the sort of metal pins there, because they actually make up part of this circuit board, so they sort of give it its general shape. What we'll do is see if these actually pop off, and I don't think they do. I thought that these would just sort of be attached to sort of like a stubbier arrangement, but maybe that's not the case, so I don't want to touch those too much. I still want to see if I can get this off, and I'm trying to find a way of getting this out without damaging anything. Right, let's have a look at the top. There really isn't anything on the top that suggests a way to get into this. Yeah, I think, yeah, there you go. This just slides off at the top. Certainly that's what it should do anyway. There we are. Whoops. And now it is stuck. That's that. So it would actually be interesting to see if that is part of this front assembly, which I don't think it is. Judging by the way it's attached right down at the bottom. Don't make it easy, do they? Yeah, that is really firmly attached down there. Right, so first order of business, get this out of the way. Check to see if we have any reefers, anything of that nature. Right, let's see if there's a better way around this. So after a little bit of looking around, I noticed that this will actually just lift off like that, and once that is lifted off, the whole front panel will come out, and it leaves you with all of this. So what I can actually do now is quite easily and happily remove this screw here. It's going to be one of the ones I think holding in our bottom board. You can see the whole bottom board seems to make up part of this entire sort of frame arrangement. And what I want to do is to get these out of the way, then I can get the bottom board out. If it has a mains suppressor capacitor, I can remove and replace it, which will solve any sort of potential issues further down the line. But what I also want to do is to get this tape deck out of the way, so I can actually bring this whole unit out and check the condition of the drive belt. Whoa, point, oh, dink. Whoops. There we go. I think I've got this one here, so you can see this little metal plate goes over the plastic moulding, and whoops, that's the front panel for the vacuum fluorescent display. Vacuum fluorescent display does still seem to be okay, so there's no breakages, there's no milkiness, so it does seem to still be holding a vacuum, which is good. I'll put that to one side. I do need to clean all of these panels a bit, and hopefully with those out of the way, so we've got that screw out of the way, there wasn't a screw there, this little bracket here which is holding this in is also out of the way. If I now pop this upright like so, with luck that should come out a lot more easily. Now what I've also done is just removed one of the little clips around there, so we'll need to put that back in when we go back in again, when we reassemble it rather, so hopefully we should be able to come out from the front like so. There's the transformer, and have we got any mains suppressing type capacitors anywhere? So you've got mains going in, you've got that going up to the straight into the transformer actually, and that's it. That goes straight into the transformer. The transformer knocks the power down. So yeah, there's no mains suppressors, which is okay. So that's one less thing to worry about. So that means that can go and sit back in again. That's quite literally all I wanted to check actually. So I'll need to come down there, out, then drop that in like so, and that's back into place. And there we go. So all I need to do now is, what I'll do is I'll actually just put the various screws back in. So you've got this one here which just clips onto there like so, and I can just screw that one back into place. There we go. And we've got this one over here, which was this one. So that sort of basically acts as a little sort of protector to, if you sort of happen to put too much pressure on the base bit, it doesn't actually knock it out of shape. So that's back in. And oh yeah, we've got this one here. So we've got the big clamp here. So that's, you need to just make sure that you've got those back into place. You can actually just sort of move them like so, just put them back into place manually. And it's coming over. There we are. Then we can gently push that back into the machine, like so, and just come down, there, probably. Oh, no, sorry, it's about there, I think, I need to come down. Is it? No, it's not. It's go further back in, down, and so you need to line up with the screw point in the machine. Now it's a little bit tight, so just need to be careful. Also need to consider the fact I might be putting it in the wrong way. So let's take those out again. Yeah, it should be that way, because you can see that's the sort of bit that's a bit aged, plastic wise. So come in back, that's better. Come in the back and out the front, and trying to keep it into place. There we go, I think that's doing something. So if we go back in and down and there and there, that sort of locks it in. Now it should just slide down, so hopefully I should just be able to go, oops. There we are. So there and down. That's the problem, you've got to make sure it stays in at the back, because it needs to be in at the back as well as the front for the whole thing to work. There we go. And there we go. That's back in, so I just need the screw for that one. There we are, that's those clamped in, and all that I want to do now is basically keep those, whoops, keep those out of the way into one side. Pop this down. And let's have a look at how this is held in. So we've got a screw, 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 and a screw. So let's try popping out these screws and see if that brings the whole unit forward. And two over here. Looks like quite a sizable affair. So we'll pop that upright, and so that's those. Put this one down here. And this one down here. So it does that in any way. Oh yeah, it does a bit. Now what will be trapping it is there's a very large arm at the back here. And that arm activates this section here. So there's basically a big switch on here which switches the machine into record mode. So there is that sort of very large arm that runs here. You can see it. Can you see it on the camera? Hopefully you can. So there. Hopefully you can see that moving here. There. Now I'm trying to see if it will just sort of pop out without having to do anything else. The last thing I want to have to do is to remove this bottom board. So let's see what will happen if we try to remove this out of the way. So no joy thus far. Can see the motor in there though, and the belt actually looks. I'm going to rotate the motor as it's actually got a big sort of flat blade indent on it, so I can actually see what it's doing. So let's just bring that there. And just try rotating that like so. And the belt actually does look like it's quite tight over that, so let's just check. Actually feels okay, you know. I don't think. Yeah, I might not even need to get into that. But it would be interesting to know how for future reference. So when you pull on this, you pull on so record. Let's manually activate record. So if you pop that there, record is going to be released by a switch, basically. So there will be a switch in here which will tell us what we can record. I can't remember where it is. Oh, it's at the top, of course it is. So there it is. So that will release record. So that's record. No, it's not. That's pause. So let's play. So that will activate at the back and then push that to record. There you go. So the record button is literally just a bar. So there's basically a bar in here, around there, which the record button will push, which will push the whole of that onto there. So it doesn't look like you need to actually remove the bottom board because the record button is independent. So you should, hopefully, just be able to literally just pop this out of the deck itself. I just need to make sure there's no other screws that I've missed. It doesn't look like there is. Now, I'll tell you what is holding it back is the wiring. So, what we need to do, you can see here that the wiring is held in here. and also there. So it is this wiring loom that holds it back. So you need to release all of those, and then you're going to be able to get into it. So let's see if I have something I can use to release those. Because I'll be honest, I want to give that belt a visual inspection before I just put it back together, because what's the point in getting in this deep without actually checking the basics? That's just laziness. So we'll do this one. There we go, so that one comes out the way. We'll also do this one as well. So that one comes out the way. And then that gives you, to a certain degree, you unleash it from here as well. That gives you quite a bit more leeway. So you can actually do this like that, and then you've got all of that cable there for when you go to lift this out the way. See? And it just comes out nice and easy. And you got, obviously that needs to come around a bit, but hopefully you should at least be able to get in and check the condition of your belt. And a little bit of manipulation you can. So here's the belt here, and you can see it on the flywheel there. Actually, I don't know if you can see it. I'll see if I can zoom in. Oops. Yeah, there we go. I think that should do it. So if I put a screwdriver there to point out the flywheel, that's the flywheel, and the belt goes onto the motor and then onto the flywheel, and it's tight on the motor. I'm just rotating it on this flywheel, and it looks good actually. There is no... I'm actually quite surprised. It's actually in pretty good shape. It's probably because it sits in complete darkness, to be honest with you. Yeah, and then you can see there's the... Actually you couldn't see that, but that's the bar there which controls the recording. So that's enough for an inspection. However, if you want to actually get this out properly, you're going to need to unsolder it from the main board itself. And because that belt looks okay, I'm going to be lazy yet somewhat consistent and diligent, because I have gone into here and checked the condition of the belt at least. Just put some grease into here as well, so it looks like that should be greased up, but it certainly was in the past. There we go, right. Zoom out again. There we go. Right, so I need to pop this back in now. So to do that, I just need to get that onto there. And that will go in and down. And down. There we are. So now we just need to screw the little bits back into place. So the whole deck just needs to shift over like so. There we go, that's nicely in. And we've got this one. Pull that over gently. There we go. And this one. that was annoying. It's gone right into there now. Let's see where it's rattling around. Oh, it's out again. Right, let's see. Get that magnetised. That needs a bit of magnetism just to bring that in. Where's my little magnet gone? Not to worry, if I don't have it, I'll try the tiny little bit of grease on the tip of the screwdriver trick. So I'll just quickly grab a tiny bit of grease. There we go. Tip of the screwdriver, and you can now just go in and like so. There you go, done. Right, let's do the same with the rest of the screws. And where are we? Right down into there. And oh, botheration. It was good whilst it lasted. Let's try that again. There we go. We are. Yeah, we are. There we go. And we. Oh, one more. Done. So there we go. So what I will do now is just tidy up the wiring. Like so. We've got a bit of wiring over there. We've got this one just neatly goes over there as well. There we go. And this one will clamp in around there. So in a moment I'll grab, off camera, I'll grab some small cable ties and just get those cable tied back into place. Just make sure they're all connected. Right, so let's give it a general clean-up. So let's start off. Just trying to grab the mixer cables from the back. Just make sure that they're not trapped in anything. Let's pop that round there. And let's just start off with, I think, just look at this, look at the way that goes. You can see the circuit board down there, so a bit of switch cleaner I think would be a good one to start. Right, there we are. Now the heads, the general head area. Might as well do that with that whole machine, to be honest with you. There we are. Just give it a nice clean. Now, there we are. And just give that a clean piece of cloth. Just wipe these down gently. And just generally just wipe it down. Make sure I get all the major points. So pinch roller, capstan, each head, so the audio head and the erase head. On this one, because it's a slightly nicer deck than some of the other ones I deal with, the erase head actually is powered. So it's not just a sort of permanent magnet, it is actually a powered electromagnet, which is good. With that, very gently clean this. Don't want to put too much pressure on it at all, but that is the peak meter cleaned off. And also just generally clean off this as well. And there we go. So, need to just put the screws back into the front of the panel. So, just do that quickly now. So there's one here, which we need to tease that up slightly. Find the point where it's going to lock in. There it is, I think. Yes, that's it. There it goes. Perfect, there we go. Now we've got, whoops. Now we've got this one over here. Now it looks like somebody may have been in here at some point in the past and replaced the belts, because there should be a screw there and there isn't. So I think somebody has had this part before. Which is a good sign, especially given that this is probably about 40 odd years old, if not older. Okay, so that's coming in nicely. And that's clamped into place like so. So that's your two front microphone ports. And what we can do now is, this is the fluorescent meter thing, so we'll just give that a clean on both sides, especially clean it on this side because it's going to be a while again before you'll be taking it apart, so just want to make sure it is clean. And then that quite literally just slips back in like so. So it should, yeah, just sit in there like that. And then in a moment, the front panel will go over it. Now we've got these little dust covers for these little switches, so those can go into place and they will just slip in like so. They do seem to have actually done quite a good job of actually keeping the dust out of the unit, to be honest with you. Just give these a little clean. That'll come off, but don't worry. Just get rid of the years of grease that have built up. That's not cooking grease, that's finger grease. go. And there's our final little dust cover there. We've got this one, which goes, as I say, that just goes on here again. You can see it just sort of goes, there's the little recording light there, it just slips over it. Now you've got the front panel. And the front panel, you do have this clear panel here, which is always good to check that it's still stuck in, because this glue can age. Well, obviously the glue ages, and that can come out. So I don't need to want to press it too much. But you can see it coming away slightly at the corner, but it's going to be okay for now. A bit of glue from a glue gun would probably go a long way there, but to be honest with you, that's going to be okay for the moment. That'll be a job for the future, and given that it doesn't take too much effort to remove this front panel, it's not going to be something that we need to do immediately. What I will do though, I'll just check this side. Do you know what? I'm going to go against my previous judgment, and I'm going to get the glue gun out, just run a bead of glue around there. So I'll just do that now, and you will rejoin me once I have completed that. In fact, I'll show you actually running the glue over, but yeah, I just sort of thought, do you know what, that is a bit aged. Let's do it anyway. Seeing as we're in there now, we may as well. But it's these sort of jobs that you just need to sort of factor in. You need to think, is it necessary? Do I need to do it? And if you find that it is, let's say after sort of doing that little test that I did, and you find that the glue has become brittle with age, just do it. Just get it done. Anyway, let's leave that to warm up. Be back shortly. There we go. That's that sorted out, so I just need to leave that to dry for a moment, and once that's dry, I can just reassemble it all and put it back together. But before I do that, I've noticed that there is a little bit of dirt on these buttons, so I can just clean that off. The other problem is getting this off your fingers, or the glue that comes off the glue gun. There we go. So we'll just grab the glue gun and unplug it, because we don't need that for the moment. Oh, why is it so difficult to unplug? There it goes. And just pop that to one side, let that cool off, and then we can put it back into storage. But yeah, for this one, there's my cloth. There it is. Not do anything more exciting than just rub it down with the cloth. Nothing really more exciting than that, just to get rid of the dust. There we go, you can actually see quite a bit of dirt coming off of that. And just pop this back into position, so it keeps falling off. There we go. Whoa! Stop it, you. There we go. Hopefully, yeah, so that's the diffuser. And then you've got the clear panel here, which just goes onto it, and it should be safe to put that on now. So I'll just give this off camera, just giving the inside of the glass a quick clean up. Oh, it's not glass, but plastic front panel. And just give that a clean there. Right, here we go. So, should be able to come in from the front, like so, and just literally just press it on. So at the top, it sort of latches in like so. You just have to sort of manipulate it like that from the bottom. Even go in at the top like so, so it hooks in. And then, once it's hooked in, press it down at the base, and hopefully it should slip into place. And there you go, that's in. And there's obviously just the screws that you put in, which go back on when you put the base back on. And then you've got this front plate here, which you can just give a bit of a clean, like so. And that quite literally just goes onto here, like so, and down like that, and there you go, you're in. There you've got two knobs on the front, so here's one, so flat end onto there, and flat end there, and there we go. And we'll just give that a bit of a general clean up anyway, a bit later. I'll do that off camera. But what I want to do is to get this plug sorted out. So I want to put a standard conventional plug onto it. So before I put any of the base back on, let's get that sorted out. So it looks like it's just going to be a case of undoing this. Then undoing the spade connectors, so you've got these little screws here, so they will just come up like so, and you should be able to, once they're out of the way, do that. And then the same on this one. It's got the soldered tips. I've got a feeling it would have been like this from the factory, so it was probably made this way. So I just need to do this other one. There you go. Right, there we are. So let's find a plug. Let's choose this nice newish one. Now that's got a 13 amp fuse in it, so that is way too high. You do not need a 13 amp fuse for a cassette deck, so let's just pop that out. It's always best to check the manufacturer's website to determine what size fuse you need. I am going to go with probably a 3 amp, actually should do it. I think I've got some 3 amps, yep, I do have 3 amp fuses. Nice little fuse collection. That is a 3 amp. Hang on a minute, it's just an OCD thing. That's better. Rotate it so you can actually see the rating as soon as you go into the plug. It's just a little thing, it just makes life easier. Anyway, I won't take you through wiring a plug because it's not particularly interesting, but I'll do that now off camera. Right, so there we go, that's the plug wired in. And Oh, that's the peak meter come up at least. Let's find a cassette. Should have had more than enough time to dry. Let's pop in said cassette. Well, it plays. Let's see if we have any action on the peak meter. Oh yeah, there you go. There's definitely something there. Cool. So the ultimate test is in a moment. I'll hook this up to my amplifier and we'll see if it actually works. Anyway, I'll just leave that to play because it'll be useful just to let it just continue to play. Just exercise everything in there, but that does look like it's working quite nicely. Anyway, bear with me, let's see if it actually works. So I've hooked it up to my Voxon amplifier. There it is, just rewinding the cassette. Is that rewinding? Yes, it is rewinding. It's doing okay actually, it's doing what it should do. Amplifier's all plumbed in. And actually I'll turn on the CD player as well, so I haven't used that for a while, so I'll give that a bit of a test drive, make sure it's okay. Right, let's just wait for that to rewind. Right, I won't keep this recording for too long, I just want to make sure it works. And that works very well, actually. Anyway, nice little end to an episode. Everything seems to be working. I've just realised, what should I be setting this to? Is this metal or is it standard? I think it is actually CRO2. I think it is actually chrome tape. Actually, let's just have a look at the cassette housing. Doesn't actually tell you on there. Let me just eject the cassette. No, that's normal. So, normal mode. Rewind that again, so I'll probably listen to that in a moment. Give the amp a chance to have an exercise as well. Anyway, hope you found this video interesting. If you have, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and see you soon.